What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fleaflicker NFL Show. I'm your host, Ari Umar, and this is episode 2023. I want to say it's episode 23. I'm joined by my co-host, Amal Ronak. What's up, Amal?
What's up, Reed? Lots to talk about today. Considering that we have 32 different coaches to talk about, and on top of that, we appreciated all those people listening to our last podcast on the tiers for our NFL QBs. We made a couple bets in there. If you haven't listened to it, make sure you get the opportunity to. And yeah, we can start. You want to start with the news first?
Before we start, I just want to plug the Fleaflicker Instagram account, the Fleaflicker podcast on Instagram. We literally just post all our tiers and pretty much all the content we do on here ends up on there somehow. So go check it out. It'll be nice if we could reach 100 followers soon. Yeah, big number. And yeah, we can go into the new NFL news segment because it's new NFL news. Take it away, Amal.
Yeah. So let me pull up the news that I had. So the first one is Joe Flacco and his recent signing
With the New York Giants.
Yeah.
If I read it right, it was a 1 year, $4 million deal, right?
My bad. Jets, yeah. It's 1 year, he signed with the Jets for a 1 year deal with $1.5 million, with incentives that can bring it up to $4.5 million. Overall, I thought this was a good signing, considering that the Jets needed a QB when Sam Darnold had his issues off the field. And also, I think Joe Flacco could help Darnold in some way. Maybe give him like good advice, considering Flacco is a Super Bowl winning QB, Super Bowl MVP QB to even add on that. Maybe like just spread some knowledge on him. And $1.5 million for a backup QB is definitely not bad. And clearly if the incentives work out, and if he does get the $4.5 million, he must have really contributed to the franchise in a positive way. Yeah, overall I have no problem with the signing. There are better QBs, no duh, in the free agency market, but yeah, I have no problem with this.
Yeah, you said there were incentives in it, right? So you can put, I think you just said like if whatever you said, that's beyond the point, but it's similar to the Andy Dalton deal where it's like a $4 million deal, I believe it is, and then it can like with incentives it can go up to $7 million, which if he's playing, then that means you're getting positive contribution out of him, which is good. So really don't have a problem with it. I don't know if he's going to necessarily help teach Andy Dalton, but when Drew Lock did come on the field last year, he was impressive. So you could chalk that up to Drew Lock being good at, learning and all that. But you could also maybe chalk it up to Joe Flacco not, at least sort of helping him. Because I don't think Joe Flacco is the type of guy to almost be like a Brett Favre type of player where he's like, angry that they drafted a quarterback and he's not helping them at all. Like it's not his job, and obviously it's not his job to teach Sam Darnold per se. But if he does teach Sam Darnold anything, I think that's a positive move.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you brought up a good point with the Drew Lock situation. Yeah, I think Drew Lock stepped in and he clearly showed that he was the right call for being the next starting QB for the Denver Broncos. And yeah, we can move on. So the next news that I would like to talk about is Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde signing a 1 year deal with the Seattle Seahawks. That's another incentives deal that could also be worth it. It's a 1 year deal that could have incentives also all the way up to $4 million as well, I believe. What are your thoughts on that? Is Carlos Hyde to the Seahawks?
I really like that move, bro. He's older now. He's about to hit his age 30 season, I believe it is. But when you look at how good he is as a player, his last year was his first 1,000-yard season, I believe, and he's always been consistently being a good producer overall in his entire career. And when you look at the Seahawks running back situation, they probably might have beat the Green Bay Packers in that game in the divisional round if they actually had a good running back. They're such a run-heavy team. And when they lost Chris Carson to injury, when they lost Rashad Penny to injury, that really obviously hurt their offense a ton. And when you're getting a producer like Carlos Hyde, who's put up 1,000 yards from scrimmage 3 of the last 4 seasons, his best season being in 2017 where he put up nearly 1,300 yards from scrimmage, he can come in there and be a good producer for that team. And I don't think he's by any means going to be like an elite running back and he's going to take a leap. You know, he's almost 30 years old again, but he's going to be there. And if he does play, he's going to put up, you know, reliable production for your team. And if he doesn't play, then he's a good backup for Chris Carson, and he's probably going to be a key rotational back. So I like it, especially seeing how run-dependent that Seattle Seahawks offense is, even though they have, you know, one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the league in Russell Wilson.
Yeah. I also agreed with everything you just said there. Carlos Hyde signing is good. And I also hear that Rashad Penny may also not be ready for week 1.
He did tear his ACL pretty late in the season.
Yeah.
So if he is ready by week 1, that'd be kind of impressive.
Yeah. So I think Carlos Hyde right under Chris Carson. And on top of that, they do have Rashad Penny. This is great. And going back, because for the Seattle Seahawks running back, they do have a lot of running backs. I wonder what's going to happen with Marshawn Lynch. I'm assuming he's going to remain unsigned and just retired per se.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to retire for who knows how many. What he retired, then he came back a year later to Oakland, and then he retired again, and then he came back to Seattle. So maybe he'll retire, you know, once and for all. Now I'm happy he finally got the 10,000 rushing yards or whatever the benchmark was. I think he's definitely a lock to be a Hall of Famer, and yeah, that's my Marshawn Lynch hot take, that he's a Hall of Fame running back, which I don't think many people would disagree with.
Yeah, no problems there. And then the last thing when we talk about news is our favorite QB in Dak Prescott. He's so the other day, what's his face? Chris Sims reported that he was offered $35 million and Dak wanted 45. That rumor was by many people shut down. But an ESPN analyst, Todd Archer, reported that the most recent offer to Dak Prescott was just under $35 million. And so far, Dak has not accepted nor declined that deal. It looks like
that would put him at second.
And that would put him at second
behind Russell Wilson.
Right behind Russell Wilson. I think it's probably, I heard it's closer to Jared Goff range. And I do think
33-ish probably.
I think he is better than Jared Goff, definitely for sure. Even though Jared Goff has achieved more, I think Dak Prescott's definitely a better QB than Jared Goff. I don't think many people are even going to doubt that too. But I don't know. I think if Jared Goff's at 33, he's at 35. Dak's probably around 34.5, 34. I think he's crazy not to take the money, dude. I think he's genuinely crazy. I mean, go get your money. I get that, but dude, you can't 34. I mean, I'm assuming it can't be that much higher than 34 million. You can't go much higher than that. I think Cowboys are stupid to pay him above 34 million. They're stupid to even pay him that much to begin with. But I mean, I don't know, man.
Okay, I 100% agree with you on that. First of all, so looking at when I first went into this Dallas Cowboys Dak Prescott conversation, contract talks, I was super against Dallas. I was like, this is all on Dallas. They should have signed him long term. Why are they franchise tagging him? But to me, it seems more like Dak Prescott is completely lost in how much he's valued. Like, he's not valued Russell Wilson money. Granted, he'll probably be paid that much, but he's overvaluing who he is as a player. I mean, he hasn't won an All-Pro. He hasn't even been in MVP talks. He's never been, like a top 5, top 10, maybe top 10 quarterback, but he's never been like a locked-in top 5 player in the league. And the fact is, he's getting so much money and he's not taking it. And I just don't really understand. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys right now, they have $21 million invested into this season. They have that much invested into DeMarcus Lawrence. You have big cat hit numbers from Zeke and Amari Cooper and Tyron Crawford and DeMarcus Lawrence. All these players, Zach Martin as well, all of them have, upwards of $10 million per year cap hits. And Dak Prescott right now, if he's going to take that much money, he's going to essentially neuter the team. And I know we've talked about this before, but this just makes me like Dak Prescott more, and I'm shifting more of the blame from the Dallas Cowboys to Dak Prescott instead.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you more. This is the new side of Dak Prescott I haven't seen. I get it. He was a 4th-round pick. He was getting paid peanuts. He's getting banked from his commercials though. He's getting a lot of money from his commercials. Probably like $30 million for a commercial. It's ridiculous. Because he is the nation's favorite. That's the nation's team, and the nation's team's quarterback, I guess, gets that much money. Yeah. I think that's all we should really talk about. Also, congrats to Eli Manning finally entering into social media. Tom Brady gave him a warm welcome, saying, "You, in typical fashion, you never showed up until the 4th quarter anyway." Great.
Tom Brady's social media game is on point, bro.
That was a perfect statement, and I mean, I don't even think Eli should take offense to that. I mean, it's accurate as hell if you ask me.
Yeah.
So, I'm a fan of it. Yeah. So now we can get started.
Do you want to jump into the Jamal Adams news first?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Go for it.
So Jets star safety from LSU, drafted, I believe, in 2017, I want to say. He and the New York Jets, Jamal Adams, have reached a stalemate in contract discussions. And the way I see it, he's a superstar, so pay him how much ever he wants. And the Jets are sort of bungling the situation. So that's my short take on what they should be doing, because they have a talented team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And yeah, removing Jamal Adams from that team would not do you any favors, even if you get draft capital. Jamal Adams is a sure thing, and if you draft another safety, say in 2021, to replace him with, let's just say you get a 1st-round pick for him, he's not going to be a locked-in thing like Jamal Adams. So my short take on that Jamal Adams situation.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. There's great teams for Jamal Adams. I think the Dallas Cowboys is a good fit. The Colts are a good fit. The Cardinals may also be a good fit. There's a bunch of teams. I think they should really start. I mean, I heard rumors that the asking price is a 1st and a 2nd. I think teams in a heartbeat would pay that. We'll see. I'm expecting him to get traded though by this offseason. I'd be semi-shocked if he wasn't. And if he wasn't traded in the offseason, I expected him to be traded by the deadline.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't get traded, because he looks green in that green. He looks good in that green, sorry. But we shall see what happens there.
I agree.
The Jets will probably screw up the situation, because that's a Jets thing to do. But that's besides the point. Yeah, now we can finally move into this NFL head coach's 2020 tier list maker. Again, shout out to Tier Maker for literally allowing everyone to have this access to this free platform, which is great for ranking anything you want to rank, from, I don't know, sports drinks, sports teams, soft drinks, all of that. Yeah, so shout out to Tier Maker. Anyway, let's break down the categories. First of all, we have the unknown category. I'm going to start from the bottom, going up top. Then we have the Adam Gase tier, which is going to be the meme tier of quarterbacks, of head coaches, pardon me. And then above average, good, borderline elite, and elite. I want to rework a couple of these, actually. Elite is really good. I think the bottom 2 are fine. What do you think about, instead of borderline elite, we can do the same thing, like superstar, star, right? Would you agree with that, Amal?
Yeah, we can do that.
And then,
but the thing is, you won't call Bill Belichick. You won't call people superstar coach. That's kind of weird. I don't know.
True. Elite
fine. Star. I like star.
Elite star. Good. Above average. I think we need one more negative one. We need, instead of above average, like
mediocre.
Mediocre. Yeah.
All right,
so
cool.
Elite, star, good, mediocre, Adam Gase, and then the unknown tier. I hate how this is organized color-wise, but I'm too lazy to fix it right now. So let's just jump right into it. First coach, we got Big Red, the fire engine, Santa Claus, the Super Bowl winning head coach, and the guy who likes Hawaiian t-shirts himself. Andy Reid.
Yeah, great coach in his career of coaching. He's 207 wins, 128 losses, 1 draw, with the 61.8% win percentage. That's great. He's been with the Chiefs
68.1.
61.8.
61.8. That's
That's a great one.
amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, he's been coaching forever, so that's why I'm saying really good. Coaching with the Chiefs for the past 6 years, now going on to his 7th year. He's had great QBs under him. He's had Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Alex Smith, who's now recovering from that broken leg injury, and now Patrick Mahomes, the next upcoming GOAT. So I think his resume is incredible. He's always had great regular seasons. Definitely capitalized this year. I think he's going to be elite. I didn't think he's going to be elite this year. I think he's going to be elite, in my opinion, for the rest of his career. He's a great QB. I mean, great coach, but also has great QBs.
I could argue he is part of the Adam Gase tier because Andy Reid is a legend and he's a meme, but he is. We can't do him dirty like that. He's an elite head coach, and if you say anything else other than that, then you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think he's top 3 coaches in the NFL, no doubt. Maybe even top 2. Yeah, he's amazing. And the next on the list is the legend himself, Adam Gase.
Adam Gase. So Adam Gase for me is in the mediocre tier. If he wasn't going to be in the Adam Gase tier, but mediocre. He just hasn't done much. He's had one good year where he went 10-6 his first year coaching with Miami Dolphins. They made the playoffs. They got blown out by the Ben Roethlisberger led Steelers that year. AB had a baller game, I remember it. And then after that, just 6-10, 7-9, 7-9. And granted, the last 7-9 was with the Sam Darnold, his first year as well as the head coach of that team. Sam Darnold was the second-year quarterback, and he had mono for like 3 or 4 weeks. And granted, I think the Jets probably could have gone 8-8 last year if they had played with Sam Darnold the entire season, to be fair. I think you can flip a couple of those losses to wins. But that being said, I just don't have faith in Adam Gase. His offensive system is whack. And if he wasn't going to be the meme tier here, I mean, man looks like he's on drugs all the time. But if he wasn't going to be on the meme Adam Gase tier, he'd definitely be like low-end mediocre.
Yeah, agreed. I can't agree more. The next on the list.
Lynn.
Yeah, this is interesting.
I think he's a star head coach, but like low-end star.
That's high. Anthony Lynn, he was really underwhelming last year, Anthony Lynn, to say the least. I don't know how I feel about him being that high. I don't even think he's in the top half for me. I think, for me, I have him as mediocre. I'll be honest. Maybe mediocre to good.
I don't know how you can have him on mediocre because
dude,
he has a 53% win percentage in his career, and he's gone 9-7 and then 12-4 back-to-back years. And for me, that's pretty like remarkable. I mean, they were one of the best teams
but
in 2018.
they also had one of the best. They also had one of the worst teams in the NFL last year.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think I'll put him in good.
And this year he hasn't. I mean, and like I don't expect him to be at 9-7 or 12 or 11-5 this year by any means. I don't even. But they are a sleeper team to watch out for. But yeah, right now, okay, I'm cool with good. Yeah, we can put him in.
I think he's done more positive than negative in his career, and I agree with you. I don't think the Chargers are going to be an amazingly good team, and that's going to be a byproduct of starting, Tyrod Taylor at quarterback and potentially maybe starting rookie Justin Herbert at quarterback. But I digress. I think the one bad season will knock him out from star for me. So I can agree with that.
Yeah.
And then here we got Billy B. We don't even need to talk about this that much.
He's on the elite list, yeah, for sure.
I mean, he could be on a tier, but on his own, to be honest. Like,
agreed.
Greatest coach of all time.
He has a 68% win percentage.
Yeah, I was going to say. And I believe don't question me on this, but I want to say he's won like 75% of his games in the last like 4 years or something like that. It's ridiculous. Yeah, if you look at He hasn't. The last year he went below 75% win percentage was last year, 2018 actually, where he went 11-5. But before that, you got to go all the way back to 2009, where they went 10-6. After that, all those are at least 12 win seasons. Yeah, 12 win seasons at the worst. So
yeah, that's insane. Props to Big Bill Belichick. I like it. Not a fan of him, but I'm a very big fan of his coaching. He's a mastermind when it comes to football. Next, we have Bill O'Brien. All right, so as a GM, he's in the Adam Gase tier, but I'm not gonna. This is at the end of the day, this is a coaching tier list. So
I think he's star, like low end star.
Yeah, the only and he's not gonna probably perform as a star this year as a head coach, but you can't knock him as a GM and not just. I don't know. You can't have him that
Yeah, I
low.
mean, this is the coach's list, not the GM's list. So
Yeah. He is an idiot though for his moves that he's made this offseason. And I think everyone can agree with that too. You can't justify it whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, Starr, he's a good coach, probably great coach. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I don't think he's a great coach, but I think he's definitely a star coach in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's made the playoffs. I think he's played in 6 playoff games, and
yeah.
I think other than 2017 when Deshaun Watson tore his ACL, they've been like playoff contenders almost every single year. So shout out to them for even in the Tom Savage days, they weren't bad. So he's not a terrible head coach, but he's a good head coach. But
yeah, he's not
GM.
good. Well, if he was a good head coach, we put him in good. I think
fair enough. He's a star head coach, but
yeah, here's the thing. You can put him on high end good too. Can you?
I think it's an interesting discussion now that you think about it, because when you think about coaches, right? You get someone like Marvin Lewis, who he came in there and he brought stability to that organization, the Cincinnati Bengals. He won a ton of games, and yeah, he played 16 years and he never won a playoff game. So like, you can make an argument, oh, he had so many winning seasons, and like for the Bengals as a whole, he was a star head coach. But then like on the league as a whole, he's probably just good because he never won a playoff game. Here you have Bill O'Brien, and I think his ceiling is right now like not being able to make it past the divisional round. So like you could knock him for that and say, oh, he can't win playoff games, and say, oh, he's good. But on the flip side, he's consistently winning in the regular season, and his team consistently keeps making the postseason. So like, I don't know, what do you put more weight in? I think he's been more good than bad, and he's consistently made the playoffs and done solid in the playoffs, I'd say.
Here's the thing that I have with Bill O'Brien, right? So there's obviously coaches, I think, in the league that are better fit for the Texans than Bill O'Brien. Not saying I think he's a great coach. I do think he's good/great coach. Awful GM, but that's besides the point. I think they'll hire GM sooner than later. Yeah. I'm on the high end good side. You can put him at star.
I agree with you actually when I think about it.
Because the thing is with Bill O'Brien, the Texans, they're still this year especially, they need to really prove themselves, because the Colts have really stepped it up from how they were last year. They do have a new QB, so we don't know how the system's going to go. The Titans just came off the AFC Championship game. They're definitely right now better than the Texans. So they need to really prove themselves to show that they're the best team in the AFC South. And heading into this year, you can only put them at the good category. And I promise you, if they won the division this year, you can put them at the star category, no doubt.
So, quick question here. Do you want to add an extra tier? Because there's some young coaches here who aren't necessarily in the unknown, but some coaches who I think are rising stars.
I think we should.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just add one right here. We're going to call this rising stars tier. Because, I don't know, they just don't fit in good to me, mediocre, any of that. So, rising star, we can move on here to Bruce Arians. And I think Bruce Arians is low-end star, I think.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I think he's low end star.
I think his
We could
offensive
argue.
system.
We could argue he's star. You don't even need to argue low end star, high end star. I think he's a star because he is proven he doesn't want any nonsense with his team. Clearly, that's why they didn't sign AB, and they could have signed AB, no problem. He would have been signed. But I like his no nonsense attitude. Great team around him. I expect the Bucks to still be a great team this year. Yeah, I think he's a star coach, especially since his time with the Colts when Chuck Pagano had cancer. Great coach.
Yeah, 59% of his games he's won, and I don't know if he's had incredible playoff success. I wouldn't say he has, but he's
Agreed.
made it to 3 playoff games. He's made it to a championship game. And if they didn't run into the guillotine known as the Carolina Panthers back in 2015, Carson Palmer could have won a Super Bowl. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Here, next coach, Brian Flores. I have him as a rising star, and I think he's high end on the rising star list for me. What he did with the Miami Dolphins, they were easily the least have had the least talent in the NFL for me. And the fact that they even won 5 games or whatever it was, when it was pretty obvious they were almost tanking to start the year, and he won games with the team he shouldn't have won games with, and he's built a really good culture in his first year alone. So Brian Flores to me is a rising star head coach, and I don't think you can change my mind on all.
No, I also don't agree. I also don't disagree, I should say. Yeah, I think he is also a rising star coach. I expect the Dolphins to be in playoff contention in the next 2 years with Brian Flores. And even last year, you can't. People are gonna say Brian Flores was trash because the Dolphins were trash, but that's like, come on now, it's not fair to say. That's like saying Steve Kerr for basketball is trash because the Warriors are trash this year. I mean, that you can't make that argument. I think Brian Flores is a great coach. I'd also have him at the high end star, a rising stars list. No debate there.
Yeah, completely agree with you on that, seeing as you stated everything I stated. So we have Atlanta Falcons head coach Dan Quinn. He's won 54% of his games. He's made a Super Bowl, choked in the Super Bowl, but that's besides the point. He's had 5 playoff games in his career, 3-2. So he's won more playoff games than he's lost. Granted, he lost the biggest one when he should have won it. But for me right now, I think he's high end good. And I'll make the argument that he's gone 7-9 in the last 2 years. And he, granted, there's been a ton of injuries on that team. But when you look at other coaches who we're about to hit on, a couple coaches, they can make up for the injured component on that team. Like, it doesn't matter if they're injured. They're going to do their best, and they're going to have a winning record, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. And Dan Quinn hasn't done that for me, and that's why I can't put him in the star category.
Fair enough. I have him in the mediocre list because the only reason I have him in mediocre is because I haven't seen any improvement in the Falcons ever since they were in the Super Bowl. They've been going downhill. This year, I hope it changes because I'm very high on the Falcons. They're one of my favorite teams actually in the NFC. But yeah, they started out 1-7 this year. It's insane. And they have a great QB. They had Devontae Freeman. They had Brian Hill as their backup running back. They had Julio Jones. They had Austin. They had who was their tight end? They had Hooper, right? At tight end. Yeah, I mean, they did have defensive injuries, but 1-7 is ridiculous. I can't see that. I can't unsee that. That's just that's why I have him at mediocre. He was great in 2016. I believe it was 2016 or 27. It was the year they made the Super Bowl, but in the past 2 years, he's been a letdown for me. And even in the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they should have arguably won that game too. Eagles played really well. I'm not going to discredit them, but they were obviously the favorites for the reason. Yeah, many times he's let me down. That's why I have him at mediocre. But I can obviously see why you can have him at the high list, high as for good. Yeah. That's what I
See,
stand
I'm
by.
going to give him the benefit of the doubt to Bill O'Brien just because he's made a Super Bowl and he's won playoff games, whereas he
Dan
has a
Quinn.
positive record in the playoffs, talking about Dan Quinn, whereas
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien and Anthony Lynn both don't. So I'll give him the edge and I'll keep him in good, but I can
Because
understand what you're saying.
in that same logic though, would you put Ron Rivera over Bill O'Brien? Because that you just making the Super Bowl doesn't make you necessarily right now heading into the season a good coach. That's all I'm saying. It's a great thing on your resume, but I don't know how that stands with you.
I agree with you, actually. Would you say Anthony Lynn's a better head coach than Dan Quinn right now?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. I'm fine with low end good right now for Dan Quinn. I think just because he's done it before, I'll give him in the good tier. But if he doesn't do it this year, he's probably not going to even be on the list come 2021. He'll probably not have a head coach job, period. But that's, again, he's on the hot seat. So, yeah. Sean Payton for me, he's an elite coach for me. Your thoughts?
Sean Payton for me is also an elite coach. Great coach in the league. Top 3 coach. Yeah, that would be my top 3. Belichick, Reed, and Sean Payton. You can't change my mind on that. Great coach. They should try to lock him up for life in New Orleans.
Yeah, they should. Getting bounty gate and all that is on his resume, but what he's done since 2017, he's been a perennial playoff contender, and it's not like any perennial playoff contender. It's like 13-3, 12-4 type of record. So I give him, all the props for rebuilding that defense and rebuilding that team and just being a great coach. And I agree with you, definitely a top 3 head coach in my opinion.
Yeah. Next
so now we had the visor wearing head coach, Doug Peterson.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm not sure how many elite coaches we're gonna have. Would you say the top 5 coaches are elite, or would you say like top 4 coaches are elite?
I think top 5 probably, right?
Top 5. Then okay, if that's the case, then yeah, I'd put him at elite. Then. Yeah. Okay.
I think he's low end elite, and I think
he's the lowest.
He's the lowest, and that's not a knock for him because we think he's a top 5 head coach, and he's going against best regular season, one of the best head coaches ever to not win a Super Bowl until this year, literally the best head coach of all time, and maybe the most creative head coach right now in Sean Payton. Just so for Doug Peterson, the last 3 years he's had a winning record. The worst he's ever gone is 7-9. He's won a Super Bowl in the last 3 years. He's won playoff games the last 3 years, and he's carried the team multiple times in the year where, everyone was thinking, the Eagles aren't going to make the playoffs, both in 2018 and 2019. Doug Peterson came in and he reinvigorated that team, and he helped carry them to the playoffs. And I think when you look at the big trio, the Philadelphia Eagles, when you look at Howie Roseman, Carson Wentz, and Doug Peterson, for me, Doug Peterson's number 1, and it's not even close. Doug Peterson, then probably Carson Wentz, and then Howie Roseman for me. And, yeah, I just like everything about Doug Peterson. He's one of the best head coaches in the league, and he's shown that throughout his last 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. I can't agree more. So next is my head coach, and Frank Reich. He's also been a great head coach for the Colts. I can only really talk about their one season with Andrew Luck. This past season, it's been very difficult considering we haven't had a stable QB. Now we do have a stable QB in Philip Rivers. This is tough for me.
I'm going to put him low end star.
I'd put him low end star. I'd put him above Arians just by 1. I don't think I think everyone else that will be put in the star list is above Frank Reich and Bruce Arians, though. I think he's above Bruce Arians, though.
You think he's above Bruce Arians? Why so? Or how so?
Because Bruce Arians hasn't recent playoff success. I have not seen from Bruce Arians. It's very outdated for me because Bruce Arians. Last time I saw him really coach well was when the Cardinals were in the NFC Championship game.
That's 5 years ago now.
That was 5 years ago now. Yeah, exactly. So I do think Arians overall is a better coach than Reich, but I haven't seen him really coach well. I've only seen him coach with the Bucks now. He's been the coach for 1 year, and then this 1 year he was like 6-10 or 7-9. So yeah, that's where I stand at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Actually, I originally had Bruce Arians above him, but with those points, it makes sense to me. Not having recent playoff success makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Giants head coach here, we have Joe Judge. He's unknown, obviously, his first year as the head coach for the Giants, and I think
if I were to put him on this list, I'd put him at Fleaflicker, because I'll be honest, even yes, he is improving, but they hired a guy that had no coaching experience. He was the special teams head coach.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the selection. I thought Jason Garrett would have actually been a better coach than Joe Judge. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I'm quite shocked by this decision.
I like the Joe Judge signing, actually, and I don't like it as much as like the Mike McCarthy signing and the Ron Rivera signing. Just talking about the NFC East, I think it's definitely the fourth best signing in the division. But when you look at Joe Judge, what he said in all his press conferences, I like everything he said. He's brought in a ton of well-known guys and offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and all that. You talked about Jason Garrett. He brought in Jason Garrett, and I think he's willing to learn. So I don't know if it's going to work out for him in New York. And again, he's trying to establish almost a Patriot-esque culture there in New York. And I have no clue if that's going to work. But I've liked everything he said. So I wouldn't even put him anywhere on this list other than unknown, just because he's that unproven in my opinion. And I think he's probably the most
okay, that's fair. Yeah, the thing is with Joe Judge, he's also been under elite, one of the like all-time great head coaches. He had was under Nick Saban at Alabama, and then under Bill Belichick in New England. Great. He's been under great teams as well, obviously, college and NFL. I obviously wish him the best. I hope he proves himself, because then it'll show he was just a special teams coach. Now look at him now. He's running an NFL team like very coherently and smoothly with no issues whatsoever. I hope that happens. But yeah, okay, unknown is fair. Yeah, we can move
on. John Harbaugh here.
Yeah, he's elite for me.
He's elite for me.
He's one above Peterson. All right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we got the elite side of them.
Yeah, he has like a 62% win percentage or something ridiculous like that. He's won a Super Bowl. And granted, that Super Bowl was back in 2012, so you could use that argument that, past playoff success. And he hasn't won playoff games the last 2 years, but he also had a 14-2 team. And again, this is sort of hard to draw the line, but I'd say this is more of a coaching thing, what I'm about to say, versus Bill O'Brien, like team building as a GM. What John Harbaugh has done is he's took a risk with Lamar Jackson, right? And that risk has panned out. But he's also built his team and his offensive philosophy around Lamar Jackson. And instead of, pushing Lamar Jackson to be a better pocket passer and all that, he's built the team around Lamar Jackson's strengths. And that's why I think he's definitely an elite head coach for me. Well, like he's had the playoff success. He's won the games throughout his career. And just the way he's built the offensive philosophy of the Baltimore Ravens, to me, is extremely impressive.
Yeah, I have nothing else to add. You basically hit every point I was going to say. Yeah, I can't agree more. Fourth on my list. Multiple successes with the Ravens. Great head coach.
He had a weird stint in the middle where I think he went like 5-11 or something like that, and they had like a top 10 pick. But after that, it's only been positive records, or at least 500 records. So it is what it is with John Harbaugh. He's an elite coach. And I think this is a good top 5 ranking here.
Yeah, I think in order, I think it's accurate as well. Belichick, Reed, Peyton, Harbaugh, Peterson. I can't agree with more of this top 5. But there are coaches from like 6 to 10 that were top 5 that have just been knocked out, probably. But
there are also coaches who were better than Doug Peterson this year, and better than John Harbaugh, arguably, and better than Sean Payton. And we're going
They
to
are.
talk about those coaches, and they were better last year. But this is like cumulative going into next year. So it's not even like based on team success. Like, for example, we're going to talk about Kyle Shanahan. I think his team is going to be more successful than the Eagles come 2020. But do I
Yes.
think he's a better head coach? Right now, I don't.
Right now, no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think he's rising. Okay, so next we have here
John Gruden.
Jon Gruden, also one of my favorite head coaches of all time. He used to be elite. I think he used to be very, very, very elite. I think now the Raiders haven't been doing much. I don't know where to put him here. I genuinely don't know.
I'm really
Like,
lost where to put him
you
here.
can put him at mediocre because he hasn't done anything. You can put him at good, but you can't. He's not better than Doug. He's not better than Dan Quinn in my opinion. So, and I thought Dan Quinn was going to be the lowest of the good. So I think mediocre. Yeah, that's where I'm.
You could maybe put it. I think he's. See, this is only taking into account his second coaching stint. So this current 2018, 2019, we're not going to, again, like you said, he was elite back earlier in his coaching days for that full decade.
Two different teams he led to the Super Bowl. One of them in which he won. That you can't. That's insane.
I mean, he was the last head coach to get traded as well. So if you're getting traded as a head coach, you are good.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's why you can, as a legacy guy, he is elite, no doubt. But I don't right now.
I think he's a rising star, like low end rising star.
Really?
And I don't even know because again, he signed a 10-year contract.
So he is stuck there. Yeah, that's fair.
And the way I see it, like
the Raiders are only getting better. They can't get worse. That's
yeah. I don't know, man. John Gruden to me is the hardest coach because, again, you could put him mediocre, you can put him good, you can put him rising star. And
if he wasn't at rising star, you would put him at mediocre for sure because he hasn't done anything. He can't even be set as a good coach because they haven't been at 500 by any means any time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't even put him at good. Yeah, rising star is fair. Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury, I believe this is Cliff. No, this is Kevin Stefanski from the Cleveland Browns. Again, rookie head coach. He's unknown, obviously, and I think he's better than straight up better than Joe Judge. He's bringing it's slightly worse in that he's bringing like a heavy run first offensive scheme to the Cleveland Browns with the offensive weapons they have.
But now they have Kareem Hunt for also
Nick Chubb.
And Nick Chubb. Yeah, that's going to be nuts. Yeah, I agree. Unknown. The next one is Cliff Kingsbury. So for me here, Cliff Kingsbury has had 2 years? No, 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah. In his 1 year, obviously he wasn't like amazing by any means. I'm gonna put it. You can argue for rising star because I do think the Cardinals are gonna be a rising team, but that doesn't make necessarily the coach a rising star. So I think the team is going to rise, but I don't know if he's necessarily a rising star as a coach because I'm not high on Cliff Kingsbury still. I'm going to put him in the mediocre stage.
See, I would argue that he's rising star 100%. And I think
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you could argue for rising star, but right now I think he's mediocre. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I don't know. I think rising star is probably a better argument, but we'll default to mediocre.
Otherwise, then yeah. If we're gonna put him at rising star, then where would you put him? I'd put him
probably below Gruden. Above? I think his offensive scheme is really creative, and
that's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
I'll put him above Gruden just because. Yeah, I think he's definitely a rising star.
Both of them are mediocre coaches, though. I'm not gonna lie. Right now.
Right now. But honestly, you can put John Gruden mediocre. Actually,
you can. They have to build up. You can put rising star, but they haven't even shown they've built up yet. Like they're going to develop into being better.
See, Cliff Kingsbury to me was
the Raiders went from 6 wins in John Gruden's first year. No, they didn't even get 6 wins. They didn't even. No, they were the 4th pick. They couldn't have. No, they had. You're right. They had 5 wins, I think, the first year to 7 wins in the second year. That's not really proving much. to me. That's why I have to put him at mediocre. And he's a great coach, but he's not.
Yeah, I agree with that now because I think Cliff Kingsbury is more creative offensively, and he's a better like pure offensive mind than John Gruden is, which is why I'd argue he's a rising star. And I agree with John Gruden being mediocre right now. Yeah,
Yeah. Next is the Super Bowl.
Kyle Shanahan,
Yep, Super Bowl finalist, head coach, and NFC champion, Kyle Shanahan. I think he's the highest.
star. He's
You
highest
can even
star.
argue you can put high star or a high rising star, but I think he's already a star. So
I think he's already a star. Once you have your first like winning, like breakout year, I think that makes you that makes me, ineligible for the rising star category in my opinion.
yeah,
Yeah, nothing much to say about him. He's probably the best offensive mind in football. Him and Sean Payton. So, yeah,
yeah.
great, great coach. Matt LaFleur, who looks very similar to Kyle Shanahan. It's kind of scary. They look like the same person.
So I think for Matt LaFleur, he's only had 1 year of coaching, so I can't really put him
In the star category.
category. I think you can put him at he's above Flores. That's where I'd put him. He's not a
Yeah,
star.
I think rising star is fair because I think he's better than good, right?
He's
And
definitely good, yeah.
but he's not
But I think
completely a star yet.
no, that's what I'm saying. He's rising star.
Yeah, rising star.
Good coaches are just gonna stay there. That's my opinion. So next we have on this list
Matt
that's Matt
Nagy.
Nagy. Okay, so Matt Nagy, that's interesting. So he was coach of the year 2 years back, I believe.
Yep, 2018.
So he technically would be then considered a star, but the thing is, his past year the Bears were 7-9,
Yeah,
and now this year it's completely unknown. They can be 9-7, probably at the max, because we didn't expect the Bears to be good the year they acquired Khalil Mack and go 12-4. So they could surprise us. As an actual head coach, though, I think he's high end good.
yeah. So for me, I agree with you. High
I
and
think
good.
he's past star because he won Coach of the Year. He's already a star coach, but I think right now heading into the season, you'd have to put him at good because I don't even think he'd be considered rising star.
See, so this is an interesting situation for me. So you have Frank Reich here, right? And so the argument that I would make for Matt Nagy not being a star is that he hasn't improved Mitch Trubisky and he hasn't risen above his circumstances, right?
Yes,
And
but that's the thing with Frank
you look
Reich.
at Frank Reich, he hasn't
that's
really done that either. Like,
yes, correct.
both of them had a great.
Frank Reich has won a playoff game though, Reed. That's something to note. Though.
Has he?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
When? 20. Who did they beat?
they beat the Texans.
They beat the Titans in the playoffs?
They beat the
Huh.
Texans.
Oh, the Texans.
Yeah, as a 6 seed, they beat the Texans. Yeah, the 3 seed. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. And then they went into Kansas City and got destroyed. Yep.
Yeah. So that's that. So
Yeah,
that's
playoff success. Okay, I agree with
playoff
that now.
success. But that being said, it is also only one game. But also, I think Frank Reich also has right now, for like the foreseeable future, a brighter future too. Yeah, that's the. But I think Matt Nagy is a better coach per se than Frank Reich. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I actually do believe that. But I think, yeah, I can't put him at star.
Yeah, until he wins a playoff game.
Yeah,
If
but he was a star. He was probably the highest star if once at the end of 2017. Yeah, that's where I'll stand with Matt Nagy.
Okay. See, my entire thing with this, coaches are harder than quarterbacks. So, like you said, oh, he's the highest star for Matt Nagy, right? We have Matt LaFleur here as a rising star, right? And he made it to a championship game. So, like, you could say he's already a star, but
but the thing is with him, he's only had 1 year though. That's the problem with
I agree.
And
okay,
also
so
he's new to the system completely. Like it's completely new to him. Yeah, that's why I think he's right.
Okay, let's make an arbitrary cutoff. You can't be a star coach after your first year.
You can't be a star coach after. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Be.
Okay.
Yeah, none of these coaches are those star coaches after their first year. Even Bruce Arians, though, I don't know if he's necessarily considered star right now because he hasn't proven himself with Tampa Bay yet. And you could make that argument because Bruce Arians was retired. He came out of retirement, coached 1 year, and they won 7-9. So you could also make the argument that he's not a star too, and you could replace him easily with a guy.
I'd make the argument though that he went 7-9 with Jameis Winston having like 37 turnovers, and to me that's impressive.
But he also had the best offense, arguably, because they had Mike Evans, they had Chris Godwin, they had O.J. Howard, they had Cameron Brate. And on top of that, he also led the league in passing yards and touchdowns. He had the opportunity to succeed, and they just straight up didn't. That's the way. I mean, I still
think he's a star, though.
But he's not proven because if you put that 1 year cutoff for Reeb, that has to be valid for Bruce Arians too. Because even though he's not obviously a new head coach, he's only been coaching the Bucs for 1 year. You know.
True.
Because if that is the case, then Matt LaFleur is a star, and you can put him right below Shanahan.
But I'm the thing about Bruce Arians is he's done it before, and he's consistently been a good coach.
But consistently been a good coach. You can argue that too because the Cardinals were dropped off immediately once after reaching the NFC Championship game. He also had multiple 7-9 seasons with the Cardinals. I think this is tough. Yeah, if you're gonna have 1 year minimum, that's why I wouldn't put Bruce Arians as star, and I would put him at good. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Okay. We can move on to Matt Patricia here.
Matt Patricia's Adam Gase category or minimum.
He's mediocre or he's Adam Gase.
Yeah, because here's the thing with him: he's not won any games really at all, and that's the only reason he's this low. I don't know if he's a good coach. Doesn't look like he's a good coach right now, from the way lines are looking like. I hope I don't know if the lines are even going to be good this year. They have a hard schedule for sure. I've seen it. I don't see any postseason hopes for them, and I hope they prove me wrong, but I don't see it.
I think Matt Patricia gets fired this year, most likely, and this is again contradicting my they might have a winning record.
Yeah,
I'll put this at this: if Matt Patricia gets fired this season, I will not be surprised at all.
Okay, there you go. All right, nice. Okay.
I think he's more mediocre than Adam Gase, though. He's had less memeable moments than Adam Gase.
All right, so it looks like we are only gonna have Adam Gase in the Adam Gase category, huh?
Yeah.
So you want to remove that category?
We can remove it to just why do you still have a job?
So then, if that's the case, then Matt Patricia should technically be on that list because he only has 9 wins.
Yeah, I think, and he has less of a. He's definitely lower than Adam Gase is on that tier too. Like,
yeah, I think that's the only one that why do you still have a job? Yeah, for now, yeah. Okay, we'll move on. Matt Rule.
He's highest of unknown for me.
Yeah, highest of unknown. Yeah, no need to talk really much about him. I don't see Panthers being successful this year. I'm pretty sure nobody really does because they have 3 insane teams in that division. But they are a good team. They just have sadly one of the hardest, if not the hardest division in football.
All 3 teams could very well make the playoffs.
Yeah, all 3 teams. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what's cool about the new rule though? I think is it possible? It's possible to have all 4 teams in one division make the playoffs.
Yeah, it is possible.
That would be cool to see. I don't know if we ever see it in our lifetimes, but if that does happen, that would be remarkable.
I think it would happen. It will happen at some point. Yeah, we'll see. Next is one of my favorite head coaches, Mike Tomlin. He's the highest of the star category.
Yeah, I agree with you on that as well.
Yeah. I don't really think there's much to debate on that because he's proven he was also, in my opinion, in the Coach of the Year category last year with the sorry Steelers offense that they had, and that solid defense that they had last year. I think that definitely solidified for me that he's still a star coach. The only problem with him is that he's only won 3 postseason games since they've won the Super Bowl, which seemed a long time ago. It was almost over 10 years ago. So, yeah, that's the only knock on him. I honestly don't have any other knock on Tomlin.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I think you can make an argument he's below Kyle Shanahan one, but I think he's done it for longer. And when it comes to like a postseason game, I think I trust him more than I trust Kyle Shanahan.
I trust him slightly more, yeah. And that's not even saying, because I mean, Mike Tomlin did win a Super Bowl, but that, as I said before, he has only won 3 games in the postseason in the past like 11 years. But yeah, I would slightly trust him more because Kyle Shanahan loves to choke games for some reason. That's all I gotta say. Next, we have
Mike McCarthy.
McCarthy.
He's good, and I'll put him below Bill O'Brien for me.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Because I think everyone's building up his career like he's a Super Bowl winner. Yeah, he won it in 2010 when Aaron Rodgers had his first real breakout year, or second real breakout year, whatever it was. And after that, he's essentially wasted like 8 years of Aaron Rodgers' career. And yeah, that's where I'll leave it. I think he's definitely a good head coach, but I don't think he's a star. And he was a star early in his career, so you can't put him at rising star. And I think good is just a good place to put him.
Yeah. Mike Vrabel. This is where it's interesting. I'm trying to cap it off in a way where I can have close to 5 people per category, but that doesn't seem possible, huh? All right.
I think he's a star, and
he's above Reich. He's above Reich.
He's above Reich. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is tough. I think he is above Reich. That's where I'm saying, why do we have that many stars? Because we haven't even gone with Pete Carroll, Mike Zimmer, Sean. It's kind of.
And I'd argue that Pete Carroll is a elite head coach too. So we'd have 6 head coaches in that tier.
Is he? I think Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll's either above Doug Peterson or below Doug Peterson. I don't see any way you couldn't put him in that top 6 tier, actually.
I think no, not right now. I think he was top 5. I don't know if he is now. I think I'm gonna put him in the star category, and I would put him below Shanahan.
But when you look at his entire, not even his entire career,
if you're going by even last year he was top 5. I think he's above Peterson last year too. But that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying looking into this year, I don't know if I see Pete Carroll having the same type of success that he did this past year. I mean, yeah, that's all I gotta say, really.
I think he's an elite head coach because his entire career, 133 wins, 90 losses. Like, to me, that's
he's been an elite coach. I don't know if he sustains it. That's the only reason I think he's good. He's star. I think he's just below Shanahan. That's where I'd put him.
Okay, I think he's.
You can't. He's not. Yeah, okay, he's definitely not better than Tomlin right now. But he was entering into last year. I'm not like super high on Carroll this year. He's top 10 coach for sure. I don't know if he's
I'm okay with that.
But I mean, it's not even that bad because Shanahan and Tomlin are also insane. That list, Peterson all the way to Carroll, in my opinion, are all like in shambles. I think they're all like.
You could easily put one of them in the lead, and you could switch them all around, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Next is Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer is also on that list too. I think he's also in the middle as well.
He's star.
I think he's right below Carroll.
Yeah, I think he's.
Right
he's put up more consistent winning teams and playoff teams than Mike Vrabel has. So I'll give him the edge there for sure.
Yeah. Damn, we haven't even touched some of these good coaches yet. Damn. Ron Rivera. I think
he's probably below Mike McCarthy, I think, or around that tier, right?
Yeah, I think he's below He might be below Lynn. I'm not sure. I mean, he did win. He did also reach a Super Bowl. He's reached it twice, actually. He's reached it with the Bears as a defensive coordinator, and he's also reached it as a head coach with the Panthers.
For me, if you look at his Panthers career, he's always alternated on and off. And at 1 year he's good, 1 year he's bad. But when you look at, see, you can make the argument that he's a great coach, and I think he is a good coach, and I agree with where he is right there. But then you go back to the whole Bruce Arians thing. Like, is Bruce Arians really a star?
I don't, dude. I don't think he's there yet, man.
I think I put him in good. I agree with that now.
All right, he's high end. He's probably above Bill O'Brien, above Matt Nagy. Actually, I don't even know if you can put him above Matt Nagy because we made that conversation, right? I think Matt Nagy is better than we already said Matt Nagy's better than Frank Reich, but he's also not proven in the postseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
we'll put him there. Yeah,
right
we'll
now.
put it there. Yeah, I agree with this list. All right. Next,
Sean McDermott. He's star.
Rising star, or do you think he's already there?
I think he's already a star.
If you think he's already there, I'd put him above Reich.
He's above Reich. I think I'll put him behind Vrabel, even though I think
he's above Vrabel too. In my opinion, he's better than Vrabel.
I think he's built the team better, so I'd agree with that actually now.
Yeah.
Because I think when you look at the Titans and you look at the Bills, where the Bills had to come from to be a playoff team was way further down than where the Titans had to come from.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And Sean McVay. Okay.
Oh, this is interesting too. Damn. I think Sean McVay.
I think he's above Mike Zimmer.
He's above Mike Zimmer, below Pete Carroll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, we have so many good star coaches.
NFC West.
There are so many star coaches, though.
Yeah, there are so many. Unlike quarterbacks, where it was sort of like, a good bell curve in the middle. I think here.
Oh, wait, we're an idiot. We put Doug Marrone at elite, not Sean Payton.
Yeah. Okay.
Doug Marrone is
mediocre.
No. Why do you still have a job? He should not. He's there. Yeah, for sure. You can put him at mediocre though too. I don't care.
I think he's still. Why do you still have a job? I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sean Payton's not there. Okay. Let's see.
Vic Fangio. That's his name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a good coach to me, but he also hasn't done it. He hasn't done it yet. So I'll put him at mediocre for now.
Yep. And then the last
mediocre is like you're not really good, you're not really bad. You're sort of trending bad, right? Like
yeah. Well, Zach Taylor, I'm gonna put the same thing as well because I haven't seen it much yet.
Yeah, he's mediocre and low end mediocre. I can't say why does he still have a job because it's only been 1 year for him, but he's definitely a mediocre head coach so far.
Yeah. Everything else is good.
Anything you would change? Again, I think you could make a really solid argument from anywhere from Pete Carroll to Doug Peterson can be interchanged. And honestly, I wouldn't disagree with you at all.
We didn't have a lot of disagreements here. I think almost none. Because I think
could definitely go up to star, but again,
the thing is, we had the 1 year thing. Yeah, we had the 1 year cutoff. Because if that was the case, then we'd put your boy Bruce Arians up there. Yeah, I think this list is pretty solid. You could make the argument, Dan Quinn's mediocre. That's all. That's the only one I would put it.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair enough argument, but just the playoff success he's had with his team is pretty recent compared to other coaches, which is why I'd give him the benefit of the doubt slightly. But if we were to rename it, he's definitely like in a hot seat sort of a tier. And I think hot seat tier, if we were to make a hot seat tier real quickly, it would be all these coaches. In fact,
because Ron Rivera was in the hot seat and he's a good coach, right? So, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Anything else you have to, question, Amal?
Nothing else to really add either. I do want to bring up one thing. the Eagles in 2015 were looking to trade up for Marcus Mariota. What would you feel like if the Eagles had Marcus Mariota at QB instead of the glorious Carson Wentz?
Ginger, yeah. We wouldn't have won a Super Bowl.
That's
We
for sure.
probably wouldn't be the same winning type of team. Doug Peterson probably. I
Would
think
you
Doug
guys?
Peterson would still be our
Do you
head
think you
coach.
guys? Do you think you guys would? Who do you think your QB would be entering into this season? Do you think you guys would have drafted a QB like Jordan Love or something like that this past year, if Marcus Mariota was still QB and not?
I think Doug Peterson would be a good enough coach because I'm assuming Chip Kelly. I think the whole 2016 season would still, the 2015 season would still be bad, and he gets fired. We hire Doug Peterson. I think we would be a perennial, like almost there team. I think we probably make a playoff, like one or maybe two in the last 4 years, maybe probably one, and we probably lose. Doug Peterson would probably be in the good tier or maybe low end star. And overall, I don't know. I think we probably would have drafted Jordan Love, to be honest, this year.
Yeah, that's what I expected too. But they wouldn't be that low, so I think Herbert would have probably been there. And I think that Herbert was a Wentz type of prospect, except I think Wentz was obviously much better.
Way better, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they would have probably been around the Herbert range, and they probably could have and would have drafted him. But yeah, interesting things to think about, considering the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts at QB in the second round. So wondering if they drafted Marcus Mariota in 2015, how everything would have changed. And
Maybe
there would
we
be
draft maybe the Jalen Hurts. What if we do draft Jalen Hurts, right? In this hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
And instead of him going to be a backup Taysom Hill type,
start over Mariota,
going to be the starter, yeah.
Yeah, because I think because they're both mobile QBs, right? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Anything else you got to say before we head off the mall?
Nothing else to add. Great podcast again. Little to no disagreements. I liked it.
Yeah. So thanks for listening or watching. We do have a YouTube channel. It's called Sports Saga, so you can check out these videos there, where you can actually physically see the tier list. So there's that there. Again, like I said, there's an Instagram. It's called the Fleaflicker Podcast. We are literally 3 subscribers or followers under 50. So if we can reach 50, that would be sick. Anyway, thanks for listening, and share this podcast, do all that fun stuff, and peace. Bye, and have a good day. Thank you.